to the Open Scoring MMA podcast. No secrets, no bias, just the real fight game. Let's get ready.
Welcome to Open Scoring MMA. This is episode 38 for July 27, 2026. Your daily look at what's happening now and next across the world of MMA and UFC. Dan Hooker is facing some serious heat, claiming he's received death threats after word is his UFC Paris main event against Benoit Saint-Denis was announced. He went on to say, quote, "I think maybe because BSD is such a respectful guy that the people who follow him aren't complete F.C., but whoever this key fans are, they're outrageous. It's going to feel pretty sweet shutting this kid's lights out," end quote. That's a pretty wild claim, and it speaks to the intensity of the French fan base, especially when it comes to their homegrown talent like Benoit Saint-Denis. It's one thing to be passionate, but death threats? That's a whole different level. It just adds another layer of drama to what was already shaping up to be a fantastic main event. Hooker's never one to back down from a challenge, and this kind of animosity is only going to fuel him even more. You can bet he's going to be looking to make a statement in Paris, not just for the win, but to silence those critics and apparently those threatening him. It's a stark reminder that while MMA is a sport, the emotions involved, especially from the fans, can sometimes spill over into some pretty dark territory. Hopefully it doesn't escalate beyond online threats, and we get to see a clean, competitive fight in the octagon. Moving on to some fighter status updates, we've got Walter Walker, the brother of Johnny Walker, issuing a warning to his heavyweight peers. After securing a rare calf slicer finish, he's letting everyone know that when the fight hits the mat, they better be ready. That's a bold statement from a heavyweight, a division not typically known for its submission specialists, especially with a technique as tricky as a calf slicer. It shows a diverse skill set and a willingness to go for unconventional finishes, which is always exciting to see in the big boy division. It'll be interesting to see if other heavyweights take his warning seriously and if we start seeing more ground game from him in future fights. A calf slicer is a painful submission, and for a heavyweight to pull it off, it really highlights his grappling prowess. Ramazanbek Temirov is also making some noise, claiming that UFC flyweights aren't ready for his power. He's highlighted what he believes separates him from the rest of the flyweight division. In a division often characterized by speed and technical striking, a fighter emphasizing raw power can be a game changer. If Temirov can consistently land with fight-ending force, he could quickly climb the ranks and become a serious threat. It's a division that's always looking for new contenders, and a power puncher could be just what it needs to shake things up. We'll be watching closely to see if he can back up that claim in his upcoming bouts. In other news, Rizvan Kuniev, despite bagging his second win in the UFC and even a Fight of the Night bonus at UFC Abu Dhabi, isn't entirely content with his performance. That's the mark of a true competitor, isn't it? Even when you win and get a bonus, you're still looking for ways to improve. It shows a dedication to perfection and a high standard for himself. That kind of self-criticism, even in victory, is what often drives fighters to reach the top. It's a good sign for his future in the organization, as he's clearly not resting on his laurels. Magomed Zainikov also had a successful octagon debut at UFC Abu Dhabi, but even he received some criticism from none other than Khabib Nurmagomedov. Khabib, known for his incredibly high standards, apparently wasn't fully impressed despite Zainikov's win. It just goes to show the level of expectation when you're associated with someone like Khabib. A win is a win, especially in your debut, but to get a nod of approval from Khabib, you really have to be flawless. It's a tough crowd to please, but that kind of pressure can also motivate a fighter to push even harder. Speaking of UFC Abu Dhabi, Mike Davis has issued an apology to Nurullo Aliyev for lashing out after their clash. It's always good to see fighters show sportsmanship and humility, even after a heated contest. Emotions run high in the octagon, and sometimes things are said or done in the heat of the moment that fighters later regret. An apology goes a long way in showing respect for your opponent and for the sport itself. It's a classy move from Davis. Now let's talk about some interesting crossover news. UFC champ coach John Wood thinks Wiz Khalifa is ready for amateur Muay Thai fights. Wood told Low Kick MMA, quote, "I've had a few sessions with Wiz Khalifa, and man, that guy is legit," end quote. Superlek, the Muay Thai legend, also weighed in, saying, quote, He came to learn Muay Thai with me at the seminar. I taught him a few of my techniques. And quote, his basics are good because he exercises regularly. He's also a fan of Muay Thai and used to practice this sport, end quote. Wood even went as far as to say, quote, if he decides to take on some amateur or regional fights, that dude is going to kick some serious ass, end quote. That's pretty high praise from some respected figures in combat sports. It's always cool to see celebrities getting involved in martial arts. And for Wiz Khalifa to be taking it seriously enough to be considered for amateur fights is pretty wild. Who knows? Maybe we'll see him in the ring one day. It definitely adds a unique flavor to the combat sports world. In the world of Zuffa boxing, Dana White is still waffling on whether boxers signed to Zuffa boxing can chase major world titles. This has been a recurring question since Zuffa boxing was announced, and the lack of a clear answer continues to create uncertainty. It's a big deal for any boxer looking to make a name for themselves and compete at the highest level. If they can't fight for major world titles, it significantly limits their career trajectory and earning potential. Dana White needs to make a definitive statement on this sooner rather than later to attract top talent to Zuffa boxing. Carlos Ulberg, we're hearing, has a plan to fix the light heavyweight division. He's got a pitch for how the UFC should handle the title mix. The light heavyweight division has seen its fair share of ups and downs, and a clear path to the title is always a good thing for both fighters and fans. It's interesting to hear a fighter actively thinking about the health of his division and offering solutions. It shows a commitment beyond just his own fights and a desire to see the division thrive. We'll have to wait and see if his ideas gain any traction with the UFC brass. Khamzat Chimaev is also chiming in on Sean Strickland, saying that Strickland is delaying his UFC return. Chimaev stated, quote, whenever they give me a fight, that's when I'll return, end quote. This is a classic case of fighters calling each other out and trying to pressure opponents into taking fights. Strickland is known for his outspoken personality, and Chimaev is always looking for the biggest challenges. If Strickland is indeed holding out, it's likely for a specific opponent or a better deal. This kind of back and forth is what makes the fight game so entertaining, and it definitely builds anticipation for when these two eventually step into the octagon. And speaking of anticipation, the MMA community on Reddit is currently buzzing about the latest UFC meta rankings updates. It's always a hot topic, with fans debating who's ranked too high, who's too low, and who deserves a shot at the top. It's a fun way to gauge the collective pulse of the fan base and see what everyone's talking about. Looking ahead to the next card, we've got a PFL event where CEO John Martin already has Thad Jean's first title defense in mind. Martin saw several fighters make a statement at PFL Washington, D.C., and it seems Jean's performance really stood out. It's always a good sign when a promotion's CEO is already planning out a fighter's future, especially a title defense. It shows confidence in Jean's abilities and his potential as a future star for the PFL. It's a testament to the impact he made in his recent outing, and it sets the stage for some exciting matchups down the line. That's all for today's Open Scoring MMA. We'll be back tomorrow with more news and analysis from the world of combat sports. Before you go, two quick things. Check out our free fight tracker at tracker.openscoringmma.com with every upcoming UFC and PFL card, live odds, and where to watch, all in one place. And follow us on YouTube. Just search Open Scoring MMA for breaking news alerts, fight breakdowns, and videos you won't get here on the feed. That's it for today's Open Scoring MMA. Keep your hands up, and we'll see you next time.